Polestar, once a Volvo performance arm, is now separate. And this week, David, we've got
the Polestar 2.
Now, this is a really interesting car. Really interesting car. It's 100% electric. And this is the dual motor. So it has three models, if you like. There's the standard range, one is long range, and then there is the long range dual motor, which this is. The prices.
Well, they start at about $60,000 and go up to $70,000. Those are just the list prices, plus on roads, but it's got a lot of packages.
And I do like a big package, and these big packages have big prices.
So you can spend up to $19,000.
There is not a lot to see when you open this up. Now remember, all the gubbins are under the floor, in the centre tunnel, and under the front and rear boots.
Which is remarkably spacious, given that there's an engine under there. Well, there's a
Yeah,
motor.
I mean there is, but also there's the tyre repair kit, which, as you know, we absolutely loathe. But this is beautifully finished. It's got these Thor's hammer lights. Now they're standard on all Volvo and Polestars because, of course, this is a Swedish car company, albeit one owned by a Chinese company called Geely. And these lights are the multifaceted pixel technology headlights. I've only driven this a short range at night, but it keeps oncomers. Let's just say you are an oncoming car. It would have just those pixels dimmed. Just those. The rest would be brightly lit. Compared to the Model 3, this looks fabulous and chunky and brutalist, like a piece of brutalist architecture. It would be remiss not to point out these 20-inch wheels with that gorgeous gold brake caliper and the gold valve cover. But all the launch models had this sticker on the side telling us that we've got a 78 kilowatt hour battery and a 300 combined amount of power output from the engines. That's 300 kilowatts, David, and
660 newton meters of torque. I've got some room here. My legs are a bit high. I guess there's a battery all under there. I have my pouch and my controls and my seat warmers.
yeah, there's seat warmers, David, back there, plus a couple of USB-Cs for outlet charging. If you've got the key in your pocket, you can do this. And it's got an extra large kick bar, so they said in the bump. Now you can also use your mobile phone as an electric key. I did try and set that up, but frankly, it wasn't cooperating. Now the boot, we've got seats that go down 60-40. And we've got this clever, as part of the pack, believe it or not, this thing, which is a kind of lid thing, so that you can just have a small section at the back for your groceries and what have you. You've got a strap here to put something behind should you need to, and a cargo net over yonder. And underneath, rather interestingly, a very large stowage space for extra cables, but you could use that for more storage. There's locking and unlocking on all doors, which I think is important. But also, David, have a look at this. Come and have a look at these mirrors. They're what Polestar calls frameless. And you'll see that I needed to get a few little accoutrements, mainly because this car doesn't have a 12-volt outlet in the front. Along here we've got this absolutely delicious sort of, looks like recycled fabric. But David, do you know what that is? It's the Harman Kardon insignia that they got together with Polestar 2 and they wanted to create something special just for this car. So that's what that means. It's Harman Kardon. Oh, and before we leave here, there's a couple of seat memories for the electric seats. This is another difference between this car and the Tesla. A proper digital dash, full width, and it's in front of the driver where it belongs. Wiper controls, they are really easy. You get automatic, plus you get intermittent, which I like. This you use to control audio and other functions. This is what you use to scroll through the views. This is for your voice control, but David, you don't need that, and we'll show you that later. Over the other side is for your active cruise control, and then behind that, the automated pixel headlights. It starts down here where there's a Qi charger for your mobile phone. There's a couple of USB-Cs there. I've got one of them running my Navman, dash cam as you can see, plus a large portrait screen. Below are the fan controls for the air conditioning. That's always there. Touch the center button, David, and it brings up the air conditioning. And then you can further fettle your settings there. Now, if you just press the 4 quadrants at the top, this brings up your Google interface. This is in fact an Android operating system. Now, we do have some physical controls down below and you barely need to use them. However, you can go into settings by using the wheel. And there's some commonly used settings. Don't need to use those very much. Press the car. And there's some settings that you're going to use probably never. I've got creep off so that when my e-pedal, the button next to it, is activated, I can drive this car just on one pedal. Up the top is sport mode with your ESC off. I suggest you don't do that. And I like nice, easy steering. The next one along is assistance.
Sorry?
The next one along is
sorry.
assistance. And there are your assistance settings. I've got all of those switched on. Then next we have charge, and I've got some charge footage from earlier in the week. And then on more, just these sundry settings that you really aren't going to use all that much because everything else is just going to be kind of a set and forget type affair. So let me just try this and hope that no one is home. Hey Google, turn entry light on.
Got it. Turning the entry lamp on.
Now that's turned on the light in my front room. Hey Google, turn entry light off.
Got it. Turning the entry lamp off.
Isn't that clever? Isn't this a piece of work? This is so simple. There's just this little, looks like the handle of a Klingon weapon. You just give that a pull backwards and now you are ready to go. You see that the dashboard has changed slightly.
Other electric cars I've had people sit in, turn on and say it hasn't started. This one, I don't even turn it on.
No, because it knows that because your bum's on the seat. Hey Google, play me some relaxing music.
Alright, here's a Spotify playlist called This Is Relaxing Music.
There you go. So it's going to go into my Spotify account. Now we've got the volume turned down because YouTube has a fit.
Alan.
Now David, I was just going to say before you put your foot down, there is no drive mode button on this car. Everything is available all the time. So do not mash your foot to the floor. Nice and gentle as she goes. Now, get stuck in.
300 kilowatts.
Get in.
Away.
Isn't it lovely? Isn't it?
Oh.
It's just so, it is beautiful, David, and powerful. And do you know what? Before we get back to talking about the other stuff, I charged this to 80% yesterday from 25% or 29%, something like that. It took just over 30 minutes. So I went and had a coffee while that was charging. I then did about 10 kilometers around the CBD, and when I got home, until the very last 500 meters, it was still on 80%. And that was because I was cleverly using the regen as much as I could. Now, at the very last minute, I stuck the boot in like you just did, and of course it all went a bit tits up. But we're now on a freeway at freeway speed. What I want you to do is to press the center button. You're now set at that speed. To
Right.
go up, yes, you just hit the up button and it goes up in fives. If you want it to go to the exact speed, let's say you wanted 98 instead of 100, you can just get the car to 98, turn it off and turn it back on again. Now, the other thing is if you press the right-hand arrow on that same array, you've now got your steering active.
Yes.
Yes.
Lit up.
It doesn't have active suspension, so it's just got well-sorted passive suspension. This is still fairly smooth over this road, which we know to be rough in some cars that we've had. It's relatively quiet. There's no motor sound whatsoever, not even that whine that you get from some electric cars. And I think this is a lovely, serene experience. So now that you've driven, all of a couple of kilometers, how do you find the ambience?
Yeah. I love electric cars in general, and I think this is a good example, a great example of it. Quiet, calm, easy.
While we're sitting here, David, there is one thing I would like to mention that I think is a little bit odd. The placement of the centre vents. They're right at the top of the dash. So you've got the ones at the side to kind of get it right in your face, and the rest really go kind of up along the top. And I think it's because we've got this is where they would normally go. You can see that when I go into this, you can see these are the accounts I've got connected. So I've got it signed into my Google account, my Polestar account, and my Spotify account. That's also where I add accounts to it. Digital key and remote functions, you can see that Patsy, which is my phone, is set up as a digital key. Now it doesn't seem to actually work, but anyway, maybe I've done something wrong. I think we've done a jolly good, thorough test of this, David, and I've got to tell you, I've covered some kilometres this week. This is one of, there are very few cars that I feel are built for me. And we've done a few EVs recently, Kia's EV6 for example, and I like that a lot. But one of the things that I've said about lots of cars is the build quality, that indefinable something that when you get into it, you feel the quality. And you can't point to anything in particular. And this car, I feel, has quality. Everything is beautiful and solid, and there's no tacky plastic. There's only one complaint that I've been able to find, and that is this is very, very wide, and my knee does go into the top of it. Now, unfortunately, that's all this week for the Polestar 2. David, what did you think?
It is reflecting a lot of different changes to choice within the car and the vehicle you want to have.
And it's actually connected, because I've been driving this car all week. It's connected to my life. Now, that could be a good and a bad thing. It also tracks where you've been because of the Google Maps. Don't know that I like that much, but of course your phone's doing that anyway.
Connected to your life is an expression that I think we're coming to grips with, rather than just a vehicle to get you from A to B.
Well, interestingly, that's what the Polestar 2 representative said to me earlier this week. I said, I've got it all signed into my account. I've set up a profile, got my key and my phone and my account all connected. And she said, well, you're using it the way it's meant to be. But as always, it's that time again where you must hit like.
Leave a comment.
And above all, over there, this time not in front of David, to subscribe.